Hey everybody, this is Corey.
Ron.
So we're going to start with a checklist today about what you do as a home buyer, whether you're first time or going to buy a home, because it changes all the time. So we want to do a quick checklist of what we're going to do, what you should do as a home buyer, and
When you're buying a home.
when you're buying a home to prep yourself to be in the best position when it's go time.
So this is the quick checklist, executive summary of here's what you need to do when you're buying a home. Haven't bought a home in 5-10 years, first time home buyer. This is what you need to know.
Yeah. So number one, you want to talk to your realtor.
AKA
Interview.
us.
I would say us, but yes, interview people and find who's going to work for you best.
Correct.
Number two,
And half the time, I will interject, half the time some of the buyers don't work for us as well. We don't click as well.
Yeah.
So we actually let buyers know, sorry, we may not be the best fit. I think I fired half of,
I've done
I wouldn't
that.
say fire, but let go half of buyers. And we had that one as well. Not the best fit. So make sure everything works. Communication is huge with us. If we're not going to communicate, if we see red flags, if you see red flags, which you shouldn't with us because everything's an open book. But the whole point is we're here to work with you 100%. We work for you. You hire us. We say yes, but we also get to pick who's going to hire us.
yeah, I can't say it enough how much I want my buyers to and me to click. You know, whether we're friends or we become friends, or you just have that trust in me. That is important to me, is trust, because you're making the biggest investment in your life, and I want to make sure that we have a trusting relationship, whether we're friends or not.
We don't have to be, you never have to see us or whatnot. And I've had clients buy homes over the internet with me. I've had clients just text and say this and that, but it's straightforward and honest. Here's what I need. Here's what it is. There's no emotion. And you can have emotion. It's your first time home or maybe homes, but the whole point is we are straightforward and honest. Here's what's going on. Let us know and we can work through anything or everything with you at the best of our ability. And that's the best thing. But when I have clients that just aren't there, don't commit, or
Don't trust.
don't trust, then that's fine. Then we're not the right fit because we
and
are
that's
working
okay.
together, because that's the whole point. It's a team. It's a partnership. We are going to help you. But what you get from that partnership is huge. You get all our knowledge, all our information, everything. We've had, I mean, I can say hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sales where I think we're over probably 250 million easy on sales combined total, with not only including commercial, land, everything else. So I digress, but clients need to trust us. We will trust the client. We need to work together. Go from there. Sorry, I segue on that.
Yeah, no.
This is supposed to be short and quick. You can tell. Cheers. All right, Corey, number two.
I think no, it's an important point for that one specifically is the trust piece. So that's number one. Oops, sorry, interview agents. You know, of course, I'd like to say, yeah, pick me, but again, I want you to trust me.
Go online and go through all the reviews.
Yeah. Number two is once you've picked your agent should be the person or your agent should be helping you find a lender if you don't already have a lender. And again, interview lenders, because not every lender is going to offer you what works for you specifically.
And we have different lenders for different search situations. So you got to, again, upfront, straightforward and honest. Here's my situation. Here's what's going on. Here's the lenders we recommend. I usually like to recommend the lender that I use personally for all my homes. That's just my style. I've used them for hundreds of homes. We both have different lenders. We both have different people that we can recommend, but you need to get pre-approved. I'm not gonna go around and show you homes if you're not pre-approved to sell a home. Now, there are some caveats with that. I have done that with buyers before, but it's certain circumstances. Give me a call. We can go over those circumstances of like, where are we at? What's going on? Were you just baselining, whatever it is.
Yeah. Sure, we have our favorite lenders that we've worked with a lot with, but again, what works for us is not necessarily going to work for you.
And you can always use your own lender too. Let's just, if you come in with your own lender, your own bank, your own credit union, cash, we get a lot of cash. All we need is proof of funds before we write that offer, or see the proof of funds before we show homes. That's fine. To each their own. Whatever it is, just where are we at? And that's where it starts with the communication. Open communication of where we're at, what's going on, what are we looking for, where are we standing. But second step is either pre-approval for first-time home buyers or rebuying homes, or proof of funds, or you already have your pre-approval lender, anything like that. All right, game on. Step three.
Yeah, before we move, and this is a quick
So
point.
close.
Before we move to the step 3, is that pre-approval is important for many reasons, and one is if we went out and started showing homes and you didn't have a pre-approval, and then you see a home that you're like, oh, this is a sweet house, there's a good chance there's multiple other people that are like, this is a great house.
Yep.
And if you don't have your pre-approval and people are putting in offers, you miss your opportunity. So
True.
you have your pre-approval or your cash or your proof of funds. Be ready.
Well, you don't know what you're going to be able to buy. You don't go to, and I say this because so many people use this, but I don't think it's apples to oranges. And I hate that saying. It drives me crazy because I used to hear it in the corporate world when I was there. Apples to oranges. But it's the same thing as like you don't go buy a car without knowing how much you can afford for a car. Well, that's not true. Most people go to the car dealership and they can approve you for anything. It's weird. But they can. But your rate's going to be this, and your price is going to be this. So your payment's going to be this. On homes, it's a whole different ballgame because we're talking a lot bigger prices. So in the car, okay, rate from $800 to $1,200 payment, you're like, fine, I can swing the $400.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So you can go in and buy any car. Homes are different. You can't go from a $300,000 to $600,000 home. The payments are going to be a lot bigger. And then two, there are no homes for $300,000 anymore. We're at $500,000 to $600,000 plus, unless you're way out in the country. And you want to know what type of home you can buy with the price. So if I can't afford a $500,000 home, why the hell are we looking at $800,000 homes when you can't even afford the $500,000 and we're down to $400,000?
Yeah.
We need to know what you can go buy, because I guarantee there's nothing worse than seeing $1 million home and then knowing you can only buy a $500,000 home. It's soul crushing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. It's guaranteed you're going to like the $1 million over the 500,000.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, maybe not. To each your own. Maybe you.
Maybe not, but from my experience, that doesn't generally work.
All right, step number 3.
So number 3, you got your pre-approval. You've provided your proof of funds. If you're a cash buyer, we're ready to rock. We've got paperwork. We've got our buyer's agreement signed, and we're headed out. We're going to look at homes. Make sure yes, you have us too, but you and your partner,
Or just
you, make sure you research these areas that you are interested in, because sure, we can tell you all day long what we perceive as a decent spot, a good spot, but you need to know that that's something that is going to work for you. So I can't tell you how many times we've gone to a place, they look at the pictures of a home and they're like, yeah, that looks like a great home. I like it. And we go to it and they're like, we don't even get to the house. And they're like, no, I don't like this neighborhood. It's like, well,
one, did you Google map?
Right.
One, did you Google map? Did you look at the area, street maps, street views?
most
Two,
commonly is it's too far away. And it's like, you could have
Google mapped and done the directions. Two, I finally figured out kind of a similar analogy for this is, I'm not going to do hunting, but I'm going to do fishing, because we both fish as well. We both hunt, but let's do fishing. I think it's more PC. So fishing. When you go fishing, you're not going to go fishing for salmon, but then go down to South America where they don't have salmon. You're not going to go fishing here when you want to go fishing over there for marlin or whatnot. You need to know where you want to fish for that right home. You need to find the right home. So, hey, if I want Craftsman downtown where I can walk downtown, we know we're over by the Capitol, by Olympia area, east side, west side, where you can walk downtown, find a cute Craftsman. Hey, I want 5 acres where I'm out in the country and have a nice Rambler, a nice home. I can go shoot in the backyard. Well, you're out in the country. You're way out there, 30, 45 minutes from city limits where you can shoot in the backyard, where you have some country. You need to let us know what type of fish you're hunting for, and then we can go from there. Now, I've had clients come in and say, we don't even know. We just want to know the area. My response is drive the areas. Go look around the areas, Google map the areas, come into town. I'll give you a tour. I don't mind giving you a 2-hour tour.
And we can tell you, like, these are some areas that are really good. Maybe focus on these areas.
Yep.
We'll ask you all those questions. But again,
That's
we
all
can tell
through the
you,
briefing.
right, that's our perspective. And our
You need
perspective
to-
is going to be different than yours. So
Boots on the ground. And I've actually sold homes to clients from Washington, D.C., Virginia, everything else that have Zoomed or called me and said, give me the download. And I've done that. And I've shown them the areas. I've explained the areas. They fly out. We go to those areas that I explained from Virginia and Washington, D.C. to show them, hey, this is the places. We go out, we look, boots on the ground, we find it, they love it, done. But the whole point is we've done all the research ahead of time. We've done the background. We've done all the packet. And that's what's getting to know the client, getting the trust, get everything set up. So when you come out, It's set up and it's ready to go. Not only did those clients, some of them have already moved, and did they cash out with a huge chunk? Absolutely. So if your rate of return is like, hey Ron, I'm only here 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, I need the best rate of return. All right, here's the areas that boom as well. So there's a lot of caveats, a lot of different sidelines that we need to know about. And again, that's the openness of trusting and saying, hey, this is what I need.
Yeah, and I think in short on this third point is ask all the questions. Even if we don't know the answer to it, we will find the answer. But don't feel like you're ever bombarding us with too many questions,
very
because
true. Yep.
that there is no such thing. The more information we have, the better we can do to I won't say steer, because that's not what we're doing, but
narrow down the search, and we
narrow down.
technically can't steer or red line or block.
Yeah.
I can go through.
That's not what we're
Corey's
trying
to digress. So point number 3 is you're pre-approved. Let's go house hunt. Let's get this narrowed down. Let's find what you're looking for, and let's go find you a home. This is where we get to put boots on the ground and go hunting or fishing or looking for flowers or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Let's go find you a home. Number 4.
So number 4, we've gone out with boots on the ground. We find the home that you're like, this is it. This is the house we want to try to go for. And at that point, we're going to start asking you, okay, great. What are some terms that are important to you when we draw up this offer for this home? So that could be how much time do you need for closing? How much money are you going to put down on a down payment? How much earnest money?
So that's going to go back to your pre-approval, because we're going to learn that on your pre-approval. Then we're going to take that back into the offer. So once you find the home, number 4 is now the offer. So now we're going to customize that, learning from number 2, from your pre-approval, cash, whatever you have down, to number 4 of how we're going to make the offer. And then we're going to customize that offer to the house, to the location, to the agent, to the seller. All the information we collect from the agent and seller, everything else, we're going to use to our advantage to customize it for you to make the right offer. Timelines, everything like that, we make the offer. Let's get the offer in and let's start negotiating. That's where we also are really getting paid. Not only the information, not only local guides, not only house hunting or fishing or flowers, but now we are showing you how we negotiate to get you the best price on that home. Mm-hmm. Number 5. So let's say we get the offer signed off, everything's good, we negotiated like we always do, hundreds and hundreds of homes sold, check, offer signed off. Number 5,
we begin all the paperwork, and we begin with inspection.
Correct. And earnest money.
So the inspection again is going back to that negotiated time frame. So generally you would see maybe 10 days, but that can be negotiated to different amount of days.
I would say average now is 5 days.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 2 things happening. 1, we get the offer signed off. Step 2, and it's going to be an offer signed off, step 2, A and B. 1, we need the earnest money in within 5 days. Earnest money is going to go from the title company. Depending if we can negotiate that from the seller, sometimes we like to pick our title companies. I am completely First American, Don Taft. I'll shoot you out.
Me too.
There you go. And then from there, with the earnest money, it's usually around, you're going to say, hey, how much is this? It depends on the home. Usually $1,000 to $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, just depends on the price of home and what we negotiate. But an average is $2,000 to $3,000 for the earnest money. That's going to be step 1. It's going to be cashier's check, money order, or wire to the title company. Step 2, or 5B, is going to be the inspection. That's normally between 3 and 10 days. Average is 5 days right now. We are going to recommend
up to 3 inspection companies that can do the job for you. You do not have to use our recommendations. Yep. You can use your own. Technically, you could do your own inspection. I'll tell you right now that I would not recommend that unless you are experienced in that.
Bring your dad. Or no, bring your father-in-law. Better yet. Sorry.
Yeah, don't do that unless that's what their job is.
Bad joke, I'm sorry.
But yeah, we'll recommend 3. You don't have to pick those if you don't want. You can use your own. You can be your own inspector if you choose to, but just know we will recommend 3, and we will also give you our recommendation on how you should proceed with that. It's your choice though.
Yeah, and within that step, what's going to happen is the earnest money goes in. We're going to do the inspection. We recommend you being there. Now, I've had a lot of clients that can't. Of Corey and I, or we will be there. Your agent should be there. Will have to be there legally, but they can make arrangements for that inspection. Inspection takes 2 to 3 hours, depending on the house size and so forth. You'll also get a report at the end. It's going to be a 28-page plus and minus of all the items on that from the inspector. Now what happens is we're still in the inspection period. So within those 5 days, well, I usually try to get the inspection within day 3 or day 4, because by day five, we need to have the response back to the seller. 3 things are going to happen on that response. One is we decline. We found the foundation sliding down. The house is dropping. We're out. Bad house. All right. 1, you get the earnest money back from the title company, but you do not get the inspection fee back, but we're out. 2, we negotiate. We say, hey, we found this and this. We start negotiations. You can go in negotiations. They can take a certain period of time, but we go back and forth negotiating with the seller. Number 3 is everything's kosher. We look amazing. It looks great. We sign off and move forward to closing. Those are your 3 options. That's it. That's your next step is, all right, we negotiate, we cancel, or we move forward. One of the 3. Now, most of the time it's negotiating, because like you and I like to do, and Corey is actually the king of this. I still remember when you first came on and we had an inspection, or he had an inspection. I'm going to segue and delay this video just a hair longer. He had an inspection for a buyer. And I swear you had, how many items was it? Like 60 items you asked for?
A lot. And it was a brand new house.
And he had 60 items he asked the seller to fix. And I'm sitting there, you know, and I'm with Corey. I'm like, he came on. I'm like, all right, Corey, well, that normally never happens. Sure enough, this guy comes back. Every single item was signed off. Got every single item for his buyer. So the inspection is, all right, I've always like to ask for more than less, because they can always say no. You're the only one that can cancel during the inspection. That's going to be another point. Can they cancel? No. If you ask for something, they can't cancel. So all the worst they can say is no. You come back and say, well, let's ask for this. You only get a certain amount of times that you can ask during the inspection, but then we'll ask for this. No. Okay, well then let's move forward or not. Or most of the time we come to some point that everybody agrees to. That's the reality of it.
And since we've kind of digressed on this a little bit, I can't, for me, if I do find where there's a lot of items, I will call that person. We just had a video of this about texting or calling. I will call that person so that they understand that my intent is not to be like
who's that person? Listing agent.
The listing agent.
Yep.
To let them know that my intent is not to completely say the house is trash, but to convey to them like, hey,
Correct.
The house is nice. However, there are these things that, you know, there's some issues that we would like to have corrected. Please don't take this as a diss on the house
or a slam,
or something to try to slam the sellers. It's really just, we want to try and negotiate something out, because I know that.
Well, as a listing agent, you don't want to hear that either.
Right. And I know as a buying agent and a listing agent that if all these things do come up, not everything's going to be agreed upon.
Correct.
We're going to have to come to a middle ground somewhere.
And so before we jump to step 6, real quick, you can ask, okay, do all those items have to be fixed? No, they can give cash reductions. They can give price reductions. Say, hey, you know, instead of doing all this, we're going to take $10,000 off the price. Or instead of doing this, we're going to give you an extra $5,000 towards closing costs, depending on how we negotiated the offer. Step 3, go in there, and step 4, sorry, depending on how we did the offer, we can actually get extra closing costs. So all that combined, there are so many options on negotiating. Now, most of the time we like to negotiate cash because cash is king. Step 6, what do we do after we get through all this? Let's say we negotiate, we get through it, which is 80% of the time, 70% of the time we negotiate, we get everybody agreed upon, we go forward. Step 6 is, in my opinion, is basically this point where we as the agent and the buyers and seller are now just waiting for title company, lending to get all their paperwork together and with the appraisal and just starting to get all the numbers crunched, all the monies owed to the different parties that are owed money. And that's that lull in the transaction where I generally tell my clients like, hey, I'm here. You probably aren't going to hear from me as much as we were up to this point. Yep. Well, you don't need us. That's the whole point is we are working behind the stages now of you're done with us. you're on to lender and closing. So what's going to happen between lender and closing is we get everything negotiated through inspection. Corey and I are going to hang out. We're going to be doing all the paperwork in the background. But now you're on to the lender, dealing with the appraisal. We'll wait for appraisal. Once the appraisal comes in, it's all good, signed off. From appraisal, you move to closing. That's what Corey was talking about as well, with all the paperwork, all the numbers. We get closing disclosures, everything like that, and then we move to closing. You're going to say, how long does that take? Well, the first part should have taken from getting the contract signed off to inspection and negotiating should have taken 10 days to 2 weeks at most, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes inspection can go a little bit longer. We're negotiating a little harder or something's going on, 15 to 20 days. But most of the time it's 10 to 14 days. From there, we will then have the appraisal, which should have been ordered over here. Don't get me, we're gonna make another video about that because I have another thing about that. But the appraisal should have been ordered over here from the buyer's side. So once we're done with the inspection, the appraisal should come in literally the next few days. We get the appraisal back. And then you usually close once the appraisal gets back a week after that. They get all the paperwork, underwriting's done, but you're dealing with the lender the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you come to us and we do one final walkthrough 3 days to 4 days before, maybe 5 days. I'm like in the finger thing here. Before we go walk through, basically that walkthrough is two things. One, to make sure all the items we requested, if we did request them to fix it, is we want to see receipts on all the stuff fixed. Or two, we're just looking if they've done everything because if we're getting cash credits and fine, we basically want to make sure the house is still standing there. Okay, our house is still here. Then we go ahead and that final step is we go and sign paperwork. You literally go to documents. This is it. You go to the title company. Now the title company can do two things. They can meet you remotely, wherever they want to meet you. I've had stuff in Germany. I've had stuff all through Europe, East Coast, whatever. They sign documents, they get documents, and then we go ahead and close. They can meet you at Starbucks. You can go to the office here at the title company, First American, wherever the title company's at. You can meet at the office, you can sign, you can talk to someone, sign all the paperwork. After that, your lender will wire the money, it'll record. Now here's a caveat, remember it can record at 1 p.m. on the day of closing. The sellers legally have until 9 p.m. on the day of closing to be out of the house. Have I had that happen? Yes. 4 to 5 times. I'm thinking 4, maybe 5 times, where the seller was not out at 9 p.m. They were out at 9:10, 9:20. The buyers were a little upset. As a seller, get out of the house. But that's a whole different video.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything on all those?
No, that's the breakdown of it. I mean, yeah.
That's it. So those are your steps. If you have any questions with those steps, call us. This was supposed to be a short video. I think we nailed it.
Yes, I think we could even go quicker with it, but it is good information to know those ins and outs because I've had many clients say, well, what's next? What do we do? What's next?
So,
and it's just a misunderstanding of how much actually goes on behind the scenes too. So, I mean, everything's fast and furious in the beginning, and then after that, everything falls off and clients start to feel like,
but we're back there doing everything. Yeah. You gotta remember, the reason these videos go so long, these are supposed to be short and sweet, is we have so much information and we can just pile on. And it's not anything else. It's just, you need to know the facts. If you want more detail, less. If you want less, let us know. Either one.
Yeah.
Ron here.
Corey.
Have a good day, everybody.
Cheers.